important global leadership workshop being organized by the Tällberg Foundation. I'm sorry I'm personally being not able to come, but my good wishes for the success of this important meeting. I'm just recording a few points which I would have made had I been present personally. First of all, I think the whole concept of leadership, global leadership, is important because it has got a cascading effect. Leadership has a cascading effect, either for good or for bad. I think our planet today is in a state of transition, which is somewhat represented by the 17 goals of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, indicate what all has to be done, starting with removal of poverty, extreme differences among human beings, whether in gender terms or in social terms or economic terms. How do we promote a more happy and healthy society in the world? I feel that the points made by the Tällberg Foundation in its own work on trying to see that we live a process of lifelong learning facilitated by the kind of global conversation that the Tällberg Foundation is promoting. I need hardly say that we live in a planet where all life is interconnected. This is why the Brundtland Commission's report was titled Our Common Future, because whoever may be the cause of a problem, it affects every one of us. Our life is ecologically intertwined, and that's what the lesson of the Brundtland Commission's report, which is now reflected in the different goals of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And I'm also happy that this kind of conversation which Tällberg Foundation is promoting is one of the methods of promoting sort of lifelong education, lifelong learning from each other, learning from successes, learning from failures. How do we have a transformational impact of technologies, of public policies, of human action? And this is why I have always believed what Rabindranath Tagore, who was a Nobel laureate in literature, he used to say that we should, lifelong learning, you should say in this way, a candle which is not lit cannot light others. A teacher who is not learning cannot teach others. In other words, this kind of conversation promotes lifelong sharing of experience. Recently, the members of the United Nations adopted a 17-point Sustainable Development Goals, starting with the ending of the poverty. Sustainable development is obviously a multidisciplinary science, multidisciplinary endeavor, with the social sustainability is very important, economic sustainability, and environmental sustainability. In social sustainability, we should pay particular attention to the needs of women. It must be gender sensitive, gender positive. Both women and children should receive high attention. Gender equality is particularly important in many developing countries. The initiative of the Tällberg Foundation in promoting global dialogues will, in my view, help to slowly develop the origin of coalitions of the compassionate. Coalitions of the compassionate, what I mentioned mean is compassionate towards each other, compassionate to nature, so that we don't have the same kind of problem which has happened so far in terms of environment degradation, in terms of poverty increase, in terms of increasing hunger and malnutrition in the world. However small the initiative may be, the Tällberg Foundation's initiative is important. It is not a small one, but it's a very significant one. It depends upon how you design it. Small can be beautiful, as they say, but small can be significant. This kind of small initiatives, we should not underrate their importance. In this connection, I recall what Mother Teresa said once. A young boy asked her, "Mother, you are doing a great work, but is not your work a drop in the ocean?" Apparently the mother said, "Yes, my dear boy, my work is a drop in the ocean, but the ocean will be less without the drop. The ocean will be less without the drop. This kind of humility, this kind of continuation of work, whether it is small endeavor or a large endeavor, these are important. This kind of humility is essential in global conversation of the kind we are now fostering at this meeting here, because there is no single or simple solution to the complex problems we are facing. If you take each one of the Millennium Development Goals or the Sustainable Development Goals, you will find each action has many, many implications, social, political, scientific, and so on. And therefore, humility is important. I want to cite two examples of the complexity of the problems we are facing, for which this kind of seminar, where the leadership should be provided to solve them. One is the problem of climate change. Shortly we'll be having a meeting in Paris, and in the Paris meeting, I hope, we'll try to get a clear commitment, a solid commitment, not only in words but in terms of emotional commitment, spiritual commitment to the cause of completely eliminating the greenhouse gas emissions, having a low carbon pathway of energy. It is not going to be easy, but nations will have a conversation and they will know that climate change is something which affects every one of us. Of course, there are some countries are affected more, some regions are affected more. For example, Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia will be affected somewhat more if the temperature goes up by 2 to 3 degrees centigrade, as it is being postulated, because a 2 or 3 degrees increase in centigrade in my country will lead to a loss of about 6 million tons of wheat, because the wheat duration will be shorter. It will also have other implications in terms of other crops, in terms of fisheries and so on. On the other hand, a very northern latitude with a little higher temperature, the duration of the crop will be more, and there will be benefit will be more in terms of yield. Therefore, what is important is to understand that same action may have different reactions, but finally all will suffer, and I wish the Paris discussions a great success, which is very important. I think climate change can do much harm to food, environmental, and livelihood security if we do not cooperate in minimizing and ultimately eliminating all forms of greenhouse emissions and develop adaptation and mitigation measures. Same is true with reference to biodiversity. There is a global biodiversity convention. The loss of every gene and every species limits our options for the future, except particularly in the context of climate change. We require new genes, what are called climate smart genes, and so on. We require to conserve all of our genetic material. This is where I want to take this occasion to make a small tribute to the government of Norway and also to the Scandinavian countries for establishing the global gene vault at Svalbard, which will be like a Noah's Ark for the future. Will be preserving for posterity a set of representative sample of genetic diversity occurring today. There are many other areas of common concern in the world today. I think what is important is to build on things which are win-win for everyone, that all of us benefit. There are no losers, there are win-win. Cooperation, genuine and sustainable cooperation, requires some kind of a win-win situation in terms of common action. Let me conclude by saying one outcome of conversations of this kind will be the identification of action points which can promote harmony between humankind and nature and with each other. Mahatma Gandhi in my country used to say, be the change you wish to bring about. That's important. Be the change which you wish to bring about. In other words, there must be intellectual honesty so that we are willing to do what we want others to do. Gandhi also said, when asked for a message, he said, my life is my message. My life is my message. My life is transparent. and whatever truth and non-violence, and the feeling that one person should not rule, one country should not rule over another country. In other words, colonialism should end, we should have a secular democratic society. That was his wish. So he said, that is my life's message. I hope everyone assembled here will consider this, their life as their message, so that the global conversation can contribute in a small way, in a small step towards the long road of human happiness, which we all desire. Ultimately, happiness is the human happiness in the life given to us, is what we desire. And Marquis de Condorcet, a contemporary of Malthus, when Malthus said the adverse relationship between food production and population growth, Condorcet said, population will stabilize itself if children are born for happiness, children are born for happiness. In fact, in my own work, I have tried to see what we call biohappiness. In other words, how bioresources in tribal areas, in neglected areas, in areas with high degree of malnutrition, how can biodiversity help to bring about change in their life, what I call the biohappiness. Those which are biodiversity hotspots must become happy spots. There are many other things to do, and global leaders can show the way. As I said, even a small step in the long road to a happy society will be a very important contribution of the Tällberg Foundation. I wish this workshop great success, and I once again apologize for my not being present personally. But I do hope some other time. I've had a long association with Sweden, starting with 1954-55, when I was also a member of the Swedish Seed Association at Svalöv, and Lund University and so on, and of course Stockholm, and many other wonderful memories of this great country. And I wish I could be here, but all that I can do is to give my best wishes for the success of the discussion here and the emergence of many new leaders in the world who will change our global planet for the better, for enduring happiness. Thank you very much for your patient listening.